Good afternoon, everybody. Start things off this week. We're actually heading back down to the river. Little different part of the river, but still heading down to the river. Great start to the week as well. I actually got to go help the grandparents off to go start the week off. Took their Yukon into town and got some new tires on it. So it's always a good excuse to go see Grandpa and Grandma. So always enjoy that. But like I was saying, we are heading back down to the river. This is actually going across some of our neighbors' land. So the neighbors actually got some pivots down on the river bottom here too. They do a bunch of grass and alfalfa down here. They got a ton of cows and stuff. So they actually got a couple bales out there already, and they haven't started swathing any of this stuff yet. So back down at the river we are. You can see it's definitely a little bit different than our irrigation pump area. So with where we live down here, we actually kind of have to do all our water stuff ourselves. You don't get to just hook up to the city water or anything like that. You kind of got to get together with your neighbors, form up a little something, then kind of do it all yourself there. So we've got our pump house kind of right behind the pickup there, little chlorinator and stuff in there, so we're not drinking just straight river water. From the water house over here, we've got kind of our new well set up. So we actually just put this in, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago. Can't quite remember. But we've got a little well we kind of dug out, filled in with rocks here. We've got our pump down there quite a ways, and then it pumps it into the well house. But we kind of had some issues with this little area getting filled in with a bunch of sand and silt and garbage, and then not getting enough water to our pump here. So we added this spring, just an extra little pump. It's wired in to the pump house and then to the main line there. And this is just kind of pumped straight from the river, and then it pumps it in to the well here. And that just kind of helps it to back flush out that way, just to kind of keep everything clean in here. But the reason we're actually down here today is so we can fix our little tube here. So that's actually just a bin aeration tube we've got sitting in the river there, and then we've got our hose that goes in that just to kind of keep any big junk out of there. But it keeps getting plugged up with algae on the bottom, so it's not sucking any water, and then it kind of keeps falling apart right there. So I'm gonna put on some chest waders, hop in the river here, get that put back together, and clean all that algae and moss off the bottom there. All right, we are now out here in the river. So the first thing I actually did was just kind of got this thing all straightened back out here. I'm gonna put a bunch of screws in there just to hold these two together. That way they don't get kinked and out of shape again and we lose half of our aerator tube down the river. We've had that happen a few times. And then I'm just gonna go and clean all this little moss and stuff off out of these holes as best as I can. That way we got some good flow going through here. So not too hard, just a nice little fun activity. Try not to get too submerged in the river here though. So we are out of the chest waders, back up on dry land here. Just gotta kind of watch out. I don't know if you guys can see those screws poking through now, so I just don't want to accidentally poke any holes in the tube. Should be okay though. Just gotta make sure I remember to grab these and don't drop them in the river either. But yeah, just a quick and not too bad of a job. Say it is always nice just coming down here and getting to work down on the river here too. So we got the pump kicked back on here, and I'll show you exactly why we have that thing. I don't know if you guys can see it coming out of the rocks there, back flushing a little bit of that silty, nasty garbage coming out of there. So enough of that silt actually gets in the well there and just plugs everything up. So we got that working again, so hopefully everyone in our little community down here gets some water. So and it's the start of another day here. We actually just got the conveyor all set up, and we're going to be dumping some lentils into this little hopper bottom bin. Might be able to see a little bit of smoke coming out of the Quonset there. That's the old Ford just getting all warmed up there. And now we wait. Just got to get all those lentils unloaded, and then we'll move on to the next job. And we are back down here at the pivots. We got our old one-person vehicle moving set up here. Gonna take the dirt bike, ride that back to the house. That way we can bring the tractor down here, and we'll have a pickup here to take home. So yep, just one of those things you gotta do when the boss is on vacation and you gotta get things moved. Today's next job, we're gonna be running the tractor and the disc down to the pivots here. Get ready for once that stuff all dries out, we can start working the ground down there. Well, we got the big old John Deere and the Summers disc down here at the pivot now. It is still a little bit wet though, so we are gonna have to wait before we start discing this stuff. So we're just kind of driving around the farm right now, trying to find some dry dirt. We got a little bit of seeding left. We're gonna do just seed out whatever's left in the tank on that air seeder there, kind of up in this field over here. So we're gonna check, make sure that's dry, and we can maybe get that seeded this afternoon. And I forgot to get any cab footage, so I had to do a little voiceover for this. But since I didn't get any seeding footage from 2 weeks ago since the drone was broke, I figured I'd just get a bunch of drone footage for you guys, uploaded into this video when I was seeding this last pass, just cleaning out the air seeder here. So like I said, just cleaning out the air seeder. There's just a little tiny bit left in the tank there. Just trying to get everything all cleaned out. That way we don't have a bunch of fertilizer and seed sitting in there over the winter. And it's not exactly super easy to get these tanks unloaded. So we just went up to one of the fields and just seeded right along the west edge of it there, just to get everything emptied out. But I'll tell you what, I did not miss the non-working AC in this tractor. Did a nice job just finishing things up there though. It's the start to another day and another project here down at the pivots. So we got the service pickup down here. Had to bring a ladder with us because we're going to be kind of working up there a little bit. Take a little video when I'm up there just to show you guys exactly what we're doing, but it's a little drain plug up there. And so what we're doing up here is we're actually taking these guys out. So I take a pliers and a screwdriver with me in case there's any sand in these. Already got this one loosened up so I could take the video. We take it out. I'll just kind of set it right there. We're taking this little drain plug type thing out, and we're just flipping it over. That way it doesn't get too squished one way compared to the other way. That way it just sort of wears out evenly. We just put it in there and we put it back up there. And like I said, some of them will have sand in there. That's why I have a screwdriver with me, just to kind of clean all the gunk out. I'll tighten it down a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next one. After we got everything tightened down here, we'll just grab the ladder, throw it on the 1-ton, move down to the next tower there, and then we've got just another half a mile of pivot, and then we got the other pivot too. So we got about a mile of pivot. We got to flip all those things on. Just takes a little while. lots of ladder moving involved. And here's one of the reasons why we check these things. This thing's been running for about a minute or two now. Just shooting a bunch of water out there. You can see we got a nice little puddle forming here. But yeah, it would not be good if this thing had a bunch of water in it going into the winter there. When it gets negative 30, it would definitely probably cause a little bit of some damage if that thing froze solid. And at least it's super nice out today. Some days when I'm doing this job, it's really windy or really cold out. You usually get soaked because I usually just put the cap back on there instead of waiting for it to drain, but I figured I'd get a little video for you guys. But yeah, I usually end up getting pretty soaked doing this job, so kind of nice having a nice day to do it. So then that's just kind of a shot of how the drain actually is supposed to work. See it just shooting out both sides here. Working correctly this time. Good morning, everybody. We're actually starting out just letting the tractor warm up, and we're getting ready to do a little bit of some disking today. Well, we're just running a little test pass here, trying to make sure we don't have too many huge clumps. We got some pretty big ones here. You can see a bit bigger than my hand and stuff, but it should break down over winter, so it should be okay. I think we'll just kind of go. It's a little bit sticky, but not too bad out here. You can see we're just kind of trying to bury all the trash from the field here. Does a pretty nice job of it. And we are finally kind of rocking and rolling here. We got everything set on the GPS finally. So we are just getting this stuff all disced in now. We're kind of at the north end of the field here. You can actually see out the window here. We got all that triticale that got hailed on that we didn't end up swathing, and it is just chewing that stuff up and burying it really nicely. So yeah, this thing's doing a great job right now. Actually, probably see it kind of in the background there. Our neighbor's actually seeding over there too, so I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to get some drone footage, but everything is working pretty good from inside the cab right now. Super fast with this. We're going about 6.3 right now. You can't actually go a lot faster with these things, but just because ours used to be a rental, seems to have a lot of issues, so we tend to go just a little bit slower when we're using this thing. I think we're gonna have to end up finishing this field another day. It is getting a little bit sticky. Once I stop, I'll show you guys what the issue is on this thing. Back over by the pickup on dry ground here. I'll show you guys kind of what our problem is here. So you can see we got all these little scrapers here. They're just mud scrapers. However, the mud is sticking to the back of the discs and it's actually not getting scraped off here. So it's kind of plugging the whole disc up and then it's not turning anymore, which is definitely an issue. So yep, it's still just a little bit too sticky out there to finish that field. I'm gonna go check the south pivot, see if we can maybe get started on that one too, but it might be a little too wet as well. Well, we got a little freezing weather last night, so we're gonna start draining everything that has water in it on the farm here, and we're actually gonna put the sprayer away in the shed there. That way none of the connections freeze on that thing. So then, along with everything in the yard, we also have to get the good old pivots drained too. So these aren't too bad. We just got one little drain kind of right there, you can see it. We've got another one under the actual pump itself. So I'm gonna get those guys pulled out, get the water flowing out of these guys. Then actually right in the middle between the two pivots, there's kind of a low spot, and we have a valve there for the actual pipe that runs underground. We'll open that valve up, it'll run out there. And as you can see, there's a little water pressure behind that. I was not expecting that much water pressure, so yet again, I got soaked here. Always playing with water in our job, it seems like.